Well, good morning. Before we get started with the message for today, would you put your hands together for the team from Living Waters Methodist Church for leading us? Thank you so much, guys. It was incredible. Really appreciate your ministry to us this morning. I have with me two missionaries today. We are going to do the entire message as a conversation. So hopefully that works well. But let me introduce them. First, we've got Rudy and Cheryl next to him. In case you're wondering, they are married to each other. Yes. And they are from Methodist Mission Society, and they are missionaries to Timor Leste, which is one of our mission fields. And they are from Aldersgate Methodist Church. So right. Today, HVMC guys don't have to do too much work. It's all the sister churches putting in the work for this morning, but we're so thankful to have them with us. So to start off with, can I just get the Mentimeter code on the screen? So if along the way you would like to ask some questions, please feel free to scan the QR code, and you do need to have that with you because there's going to be a quiz later on as well. Not an exam on what we're sharing, but there's going to be a quiz. And so if you can scan that first, you can open the Q&A and submit your questions straight up. And along the way, as is appropriate, we will try to answer those questions. Okay? So you want to get started with that, and we will just settle in to our conversation. Well, first of all, thank you guys for coming this morning. It's really good to have real life missionaries. Every time we tell stories about missionaries, but nobody seems to believe us. So maybe with you guys, real life testimony, I think it really help us to understand the work of missionaries. So to start off with, you are married to one another. How did you guys meet?
Okay, I think Cheryl will start.
My husband always likes me to start this story because he says that I always say he doesn't tell it clearly enough. So for those of you who want the long version, you can come and find me later over coffee. But the condensed version is, actually, I never thought that I'll be a missionary, never expected that. I started going on short-term mission trips since I was 18. So every year I'll go on a trip. So my first time to Timor Leste was in 2011. And then in 2017, I wanted to go again with my church team. Then I worshiped at Living Sanctuary Brethren Church. So we served in a village in Likisa. It's a distance of Dili, which is the capital of Timor Leste. And so I wanted to extend my stay, but I didn't know whether it was safe for a female, single person to hang around Dili. And so I got connected to Rudy, who was a missionary in Timor Leste at that time. And so I started by asking him, hello, I'm Cheryl. Where can I stay? I treated him like a tour guide. And then he actually was very kind. He told me things about Timor and that he could host me if he were not up in the mountains. So I was like, mountains? Then I said, what do you do in Timor? And his reply was,
I'm a farmer.
And then I was like, are you Singaporean? Because not many Singaporeans do farming. And he said, yes. And I was like, okay, interesting. What do you study? And his reply was?
Mass comm.
So I was like, okay, mass comm Singaporean going to do farming. Okay, and that started our conversations, and that was how I got to know him in Timor, because he was a missionary there. Okay. Nice.
Wow. Okay, so you see, that's just the 10% version. Okay, but I'll give you my short version. Actually, before I left for the mission field, my parents had 3 wishes for me. One was to get a house. Second is, if anything happened to my parents, I would come back to look after them. And then the third thing was that I was to get married. Yeah, the first one, I got a house, yes, in Singapore after I turned 35. Then the second one, I made a promise to my parents that if they needed me, I would come back to look after them. I'm the only son. I have 3 sisters. Yeah. The third one, I told them, akan datang, just wait. That one, I trust God, but you don't want me to anyhow marry somebody, right? Yeah, and I see Pastor Bernard there. Pastor Bernard was my pastor in Aldersgate Methodist, and last time he will ask me this question. I don't even know whether he remembers it. He'll ask me, Aldersgate don't have good girls, meh? Methodist church don't have good girls, man. Sure have one. Yeah, he will ask me that, and I will say, have. They are very good girls, but
You're not a
just
very good boy.
That's right. I'm quite radical, and
It's
the person
true.
must be willing to go to the mission field with me, and that's something that is a non-negotiable for me. So I went to the mission field first. I went in 2015, and I didn't meet Cheryl till 2017. Yeah, and when she popped into my life, it was a short courtship. Within 6 months, I told her that I liked her already. Yeah, she couldn't believe it. Yeah, but how long was it before we got engaged?
Wait,
1.5
I need to
years.
tell you all this, okay? So, right, I land in Timor. He hosted me for 5 days. And then the day before I left, he said, I like you. Okay, then I flew back to Singapore. So then, like me means what? So then we started
Honest,
talking
ma,
about
honest.
relationship and whatever, for 6 months. Okay, and then he came back to Singapore for a holiday. We went on 3 one-on-one dates. And then the day before he left for Timor, he asked me to be his girlfriend. So I said, okay. And then another 6 months later, I landed in Timor at the end of that year. And then he proposed. So I said yes to getting married after 9 one-on-one dates. Okay, this one is a journey of faith. And thanks to the applause. Faith both in missions and marriage. I always say missions and marriage is entwined for me. And for Rudy, one of the things that for him, he felt that I'm one of the good girls, not in the Methodist church.
Only one.
Not in the Methodist church. He felt that I was the one because I actually went to Timor before he ever did, because my first trip was in 2011. So these timelines and of how God has led us in our personal journeys and then how we end up in Timor, I think to us it's a testimony of how good and how faithful God is in our individual lives, and then together to call us as a couple to missions.
So quickly round
Yes,
it
okay,
off.
yes, go for that.
So my parents didn't see Cheryl until the day that I brought her to the house. And then at the dinner, they couldn't believe it because I went to Timor Leste, which is full of dark-skinned people and curly hair, and they are shorter. And then when I brought in a Chinese girl who speaks Chinese, who can speak dialects, and she's more highly educated than me. My wife, must brag about her for a while. She has a PhD, a real PhD in education. She doesn't like to say it, so I have to say it on her behalf. So even on her name card, she doesn't put the Dr. Cheryl Chen, she just puts Cheryl Chen. Yeah, but I need to say that she is highly educated. She doesn't have to be in the mission field. She doesn't have to do all these things. But precisely because she chose to go there, that I knew she's the one for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for the applause. Very encouraging.
Oh, wait. I need to ask a question here. So what bothers me about your story,
Bothers? Oh dear.
you proposed to her in Timor.
Yes, we did. Because that's where we met.
I see. So how did you do like all the nice things? I mean, like Timor doesn't have so many facilities, but you thought it was a better place to propose.
I thought it was apt and fitting because we met because of Timor. Because
Yeah.
she's from another church. I'm from a Methodist church. She's from Living Century Brethren Church. And yes, resources are scarce there. I didn't even have a wedding ring. So, a proposal ring. So what I did was I took a guitar string and I wound it up. And I made a guitar
it's the
string
most
ring.
beautiful ring ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, we
Wow.
didn't put it up on the slide, but
Yeah, but I have to make do with what I have, right? I couldn't find a ring in Timor Leste, so I made something. And I told her, okay, in Singapore, we'll just get you a replacement. But this is the official ring, okay? The official guitar string ring.
Do you still have it?
yes, I do. But I can't wear it because it rusted.
Wrong size.
No, it rusted and it's tarnished. I'll get tetanus or something if I wear it.
But
yes,
it's still there.
It's still there. Guo-on is laughing because he heard the whole proposal story when we were recently in Timor. Our proposal story is very drama, okay? It is like very exciting. So we'll tell that another time. Okay, so come and talk to us for coffee. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
incredible. Thank you so much. We've got the Milky Way photo on the screen, right? So do you guys see it? Because we're also going by faith today.
I don't think you can see it.
That's right, we can see it actually. And where is that? Was that in Timor when you took that photo?
That was in Sunamaya home, up in
wow.
the mountains in Gleno. So there's no light pollution, so you actually get to see a streak in the sky that looks like the Milky Way. And then when you take a photo, it really comes out clearly.
Wow,
So,
okay.
So we took, this is one of our wedding shots. We just wanted to do a time exposure.
So wait, you got married in Timor as well?
No, we didn't. We got married here in Singapore. Yeah.
Okay. Was that for, is there a particular reason you decided not to get married in Timor? I mean, since you met there, you proposed there.
So the plan was, so bear in mind, Rudy has always been a missionary in Timor and I'm in Singapore. So it was a long distance relationship all the way. So the plan was, came back, get married. He came back 1 month before the wedding. So guess who anchored the whole wedding planning, right? And then came back 1 month before.
Very capable.
We got married. We were supposed to go back to the field after 6 months. So it was a break to adjust to marriage routines, actually get to know each other a bit better face to face. And then COVID happened. So we didn't get to go back to Timor. And since then, we've been based in Singapore as home-based missionaries. And we support the work in Timor from here.
Yeah, wow, thank you. That was excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So let's maybe step back a little bit. I know you spoke about now being home-based missionaries, but for Rudy, how did you know that Timor Leste was, where God wanted you to go? Or maybe even before that, how did you even know that you're going to be a missionary? Because that's like a high criteria to set for your wife, right? I mean, for a potential person, like everyone you meet is like, can you be a missionary? And if the answer is no, you kind of don't proceed from there. But how do you even arrive at that conclusion that God has called you to be a missionary?
I come from Aldersgate Methodist Church, and in there I used to have really good leaders who mentored and discipled me. And I think our heart was always to outreach. I always remember that they say you send out your best. You go, and then you go where God leads. And for me, that message has always stuck in my mind. In fact, just now we sang a song, Here I Am. Yeah, and that was my calling verse, Isaiah 6:8, Here I am, send me. And it was a very simple calling verse. I told God, I'm willing to go wherever you send me. And based on this verse, you said, Here I am, send me, right? I'll just go. Yeah. I know some of you will say, I'm taking the verse out of context and all. No. But for me, it was just a very simple, yes. God, I give you my yes. Where you want me to go, I will go. And I have been in ministry, right? This is almost my 20th year in ministry. Wow. Yeah, I started in Campus Crusade for Christ. Then I went back to church. And then I went to the mission field in Timor Leste under Methodist Mission Society. Yeah, and that simple calling verse, right, of Here I am, send me, led me to all these places. Yeah. My first mission field was not Timor Leste. I actually went to the Central Asian countries. I went to the Middle Eastern countries. Yeah, I went there first. Hence why I left the goatee. There is a reason for it. This is not cosmetic. Yeah. But after that, God changed my perspective, and I didn't need to go to the Middle East. I didn't need to go to Central Asia. Yeah, but He sent me to the smallest and the youngest nation in Asia, Timor Leste, because God's heart was for Timor Leste at that point in time. My pastor, Pastor Lorna, opened the door for Timor Leste, and we went. And in obedience, we sent a team there, and we started the work there. Yeah.
Wow. So you were part of the first team that landed in Timor?
Yes. For Aldersgate Methodist, I led a recce team in 2013. I happened to be there once with trackers. Yeah, in 2013. And then thereafter, Aldersgate sent a recce team in September of 2013. Yeah, and we went there. And on that trip, David Chan was on that trip. He is the current principal and the person who pioneered St. Paul Methodist School. You'll hear about it later in Timor Leste. Yeah, and there were 2 other members on the team, and both are still active in Timor Leste. Wow. Yeah, supporting the work from Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's really incredible. What about you, Cheryl? I mean, you kind of stumbled into this somewhat.
Yes. Yes, I think for me, I never expected to be a missionary. I think that year that I met Rudy and that year that I was planning to go for Timor, actually that was when I was finishing up my doctorate, and I was telling God, I want to give you my first fruits, right? I want to give you the best. So I was telling God, okay, I will serve you for a month in the mission field, wherever you call me. And then I felt God nudge and say, why a month? Why not 3 months? So I said, okay, 3 months can. I will send out resumes before I go, and then when I come back, should be just in time for the interviews or further conversations, right? So I had these plans. And then after that, I felt God challenge me and say, why not a year? And I was like, a year, like you have spent all this time studying for your doctorate, and then it's a year, you're going to go into the field and waste it, In my mind, that was what it is. But when I said, okay, God, I surrender. My life is not my own, right? It belongs to you. Then I felt God say, why do you give me a timeline to how long you will serve?
Yeah, just marry Rudy.
I did not know Rudy yet.
Just go.
Yeah, so in that surrender, I found Rudy. See, I found a good thing in the field. Yeah, so I think my journey has been of one where, all the songs that we sang today, thank you, team. When you sing these songs, right, all your Christian life, you sing it and you mean it at that moment. But then when the crunch time comes, when God issues you a challenge like that, it's about, am I willing to say yes to God? Am I willing to obey and to respond? And I think it's about a series of small yeses all the way. Every time you sing this kind of songs, you say yes. And until that moment where it happens, then it solidifies. And one thing that my pen pal said that really gripped my heart was, there was a day he texted me, so we text. And I asked him, because I was on this journey of figuring out what it's like to be a missionary, how do you know you're called? And he knew nothing of this journey. And he said, I can text you now because I have to park by the side of the road. I can't go up the mountains. Then I said, why? There's been a minor earthquake, so I have to stay by the side of the road. Then I'm like, okay, this guy just texted me along the side of the road, up the mountain. And I asked him, so what makes you want to serve God in the mission field, right? You serve God, but why in the mission field? And he said, one of the things is because of John 3:16, that God so loved the world that he gave. And it's just that notion of giving, that you give all that you have, all that you are, because that's what God did for us first. And I think because that call was there, I was very moved by that as well. So I think that was part of my journey.
So was that something that drew you to Rudy as well? I mean,
yes, I think I was very perplexed. Why this guy is so nice to me? I thought he was nice like that to me, So I started I had a crush on him first, okay? This is the thing. He was so nice. Then I realized he's like that. He's nice to everybody because everybody asks him these questions as a missionary. So
he's got a template
shares.
Actually in his notes.
Yes, I think so.
He just copies and pastes all those answers.
It was not unique to me. So that's
Thank you.
our story.
That's really incredible. We've got another photo to show, actually, a wedding photo of the...
Yes. But before that, okay, you can see this photo. So this is us, our rural adventure. Haha, pun intended.
So that's your wedding tagline.
Yes.
I get that now. Okay, sorry. Because you wrote this in the notes and I was trying to figure it out for a long time.
It's the hashtag.
Rural adventure. I see.
Rudy and Cheryl. Okay, never mind.
Did anyone at your wedding get it?
No, I think... so that's why we have to explain it.
So this was your wedding photo and you guys knew from the moment you got married that missions was the life that you were going to go on.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the intended pathway. And that was where we were headed to until COVID happened. And then our job scope changed. And we realized that because of the building of the school, there needed to be people who go around Singapore and talk to churches about the fundraising, tell people about the human resource needs.
Yeah.
So we began to be the spokespeople, and we played that role. And one other thing I think I should share here is that Cheryl, authentically, right, she really, really saved my life. Yeah, she did, because when I went to Timor Leste, I didn't know that I was suffering from something chronic, a chronic disease. So it was discovered only after I got married, when we were sleeping on the same bed. Yeah, then after that, I realized that I kept disturbing her in the sleep. Yeah, because I keep jerking in my sleep. My body was just not good. Yeah, I was not breathing properly. Yeah, so it was because of Cheryl, because I got married, and then I got properly diagnosed during the period that I've stayed in Singapore. Yeah, so it is a chronic condition. However, it just prevents me from staying in the field for the long term, but I still go in and out for the short term.
Yeah.
So she literally saved my life without knowing it.
Yeah. Well done, Cheryl.
Thanks. Thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing all this. This is really quite interesting for us. But we do want to explore a little bit about the work that actually happens in Timor. So what we're going to do right now is, I know you guys have sent in some questions. We're going to get to them in a short while. But we did want to run a quiz because we said earlier Timor Leste is the youngest country in Southeast Asia, certainly, and it's a very new country, so we may not know a lot about it. So we're going to do a quiz, and if you can scan that code as well, what will happen is you will be able to access the quiz that we're going to do. And so if you haven't scanned that code, please do that now. And the prize is what is the prize for winning this? We will give you a 25% subsidy on your first meal in Timor Leste.
All right. Done.
I think I can afford that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we'll give you a 25% subsidy for your first meal in Timor Leste if you win the quiz. Hey, don't be discouraged for that, okay? It's a good thing. Right, so
Yes.
let's see when we're ready to run the quiz. Okay, is everybody signed in? I think you can kind of press that thumbs up, then we know how many people are in. Okay, right. Are we good? Everyone's in? Okay, let's do the quiz now. You can key in your name. If we go to the next slide, you should be able to key in your name so that we know who wins. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in.
It says question 1 of 5.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to join the quiz also.
Okay.
All right. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay. All right. What is it? Which of the following countries is the nearest to Timor Leste? Okay. I hope I got this right.
It's also where you can do a transit to Timor Leste. Just a hint.
I think 30 seconds is too long for this. We should have done like 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I'll up the offer. If you win this, I'll buy you your first meal in Timor Leste.
First meal in Timor Leste. Come on.
That's right.
She's upping the offer, not just 25% off.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Most of us got it correct. Some
Oh.
said Australia. Is it? Is that? Okay. Well,
Yes. So actually, yes. Because Timor shares a land border with Indonesia, so those who say Indonesia are correct. Australia is just a little bit further. Timor-Leste is just north of Darwin. Okay.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next question now. Okay.
What language do the Timorese speak?
Is that the next question?
Yeah.
What language do Timorese speak? Okay. I think I know this one. Okay, 30 seconds is really too long, I think. We should have kept it at 10 seconds or something. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Everyone's got the correct answer because it's a trick question. Every answer is correct. So they speak all languages.
They speak all of the above, but what happens is Tetun C, option C is their hard language. Yeah, but they are forced to learn Portuguese because that is the language of their education system, is in Portuguese. And then they learn Bahasa Indonesia because of the Indonesian connection at the border.
Right.
Yeah. But
Okay.
English is a working language. Yeah.
That's great. So who is leading?
Wow.
Oh, we can see.
Everyone's leading. You're gonna buy a lot of meals in Timor Leste.
I see there'll be a big team.
Okay,
coming
we
to
didn't
Timor.
set. If you answer faster, you get more points. Is it? That's the reason. So everyone was doing very well. So we potentially might have to throw a wedding banquet in Timor. Okay.
Sure, welcome to Timor.
All right, let's do the next question now. Let's jump into the next question. How big is Timor Leste? Singapore is approximately 700 square kilometers. So how big is Timor Leste? Okay. Can we speed it up or not? Is it possible to like press forward or something and then, no? Yes. Okay. Oh.
Oh, we went to, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the right answer is 15,000 square kilometers. Wow, that's 20 times bigger.
Yes, that's 21 times bigger than Singapore, actually.
That's incredible. Okay, how many people, next question, how many people live in Timor Leste? 13,000, 130,000, 1.3 million, or 13 million?
For reference, Singapore is 6 million,
Yeah.
thereabouts, yeah.
Okay, let's skip ahead if possible. Oh, wow, almost everyone got it correct.
So clever.
1.3 million.
So,
And the-
imagine 1.3 million people living in an area that is 20 times the size of Singapore. And if you can imagine that, then you can imagine how sparse the population is and how spread out everybody is.
Yeah,
That-
but tell us a little bit about the demographics in Timor-Leste. Are they mostly like older persons? What's
Okay. They have an inverted pyramid because of the war with Indonesia and the colonization, the forced colonization by Indonesia. So Timor-Leste has lost a lot of their older people, but the demographics are very young. Most of Timor-Leste is under the age of 30, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. So they are one of the few nations in the world that is an inverted pyramid. The base is very big, the younger people are very big, the older people are very few.
I kind of feel like that's a normal pyramid,
That's supposed to be a normal
but
pyramid.
it's called an inverted pyramid. I see.
Oh, yeah.
That's a normal.
Okay, that's a normal pyramid. Yes,
Okay,
Pastor Jeremy is correct.
Never mind. I was trying to figure that out for a bit. Okay, so I know everyone's on the leaderboard. It's very good. We're going to buy everybody meals in Timor-Leste. We'll be
Yes.
very happy to do that. But let's go to the last question to try to see who we can weed out from this. And the last question is this. 97% of Timorese identify as Muslims, freethinkers, Roman Catholics, or Protestant Christians. Okay, here we go. You got to advance the slide, I think. Okay, let's, yep. Okay, question 5. So let's get it up again. Okay, we can't, is it? Okay, great. Right, so you've got some time to think about your answer now. Okay. All right, we'll give you 10 seconds to answer this question, okay? All right, time's up. Let's go to the next. All right. Oh, wow.
Wow.
See, this separates the people, I suppose. Yes. So the correct answer is...
Roman Catholicism, yeah, they're Roman Catholics.
And did you want to... wait, we're gonna show you a slide on the MMS strategy in Timor-Leste. But before that, we're going to see the leaderboard where everybody's a winner. So good job, everybody. Give yourself a round of applause. We will certainly buy you a meal when you get to Timor. So remember this, okay? When we get there. All right. Well, let's continue the conversation, though. What is it that MMS that you do in Timor?
Okay, so MMS, the Methodist Mission Society, we have a two-pronged strategy for any field that we go into. Yeah, one is community development, and the other is church planting. But in the recent dedication, Bishop said that he doesn't see a difference between community development and church planting. It's one and the same, just different facets. And I agree with that. In Timor-Leste, we primarily do community development. And for that, we have some hostels. One is Sundarmaya Home up in Gleno, the mountains, where I used to serve. We also have Dunamis Home, which is after you graduate from Sunamaya Home, you want to go to the university, you get to go to Dili and go into Dunamis Home. And then the other one is that we have education arm, and that is St. Paul Methodist School in Dili itself, in Metinaro. So you get to see a picture of Sunamaya Home earlier. And just wanted to say that these works have been in progress since 2015. Each of these works, 2015 and 2016. So we are reaching our decade-old age right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you look at the slide on Sundarmaya Home, we also want to tell you that this home actually was pioneered by house parents Joseph and Grace Mana, who are here with us today.
Could you please stand, Joseph and Grace?
They have been instrumental in discipling generations of young people who stay at our hostel. Thank you so much, Uncle Joe and Auntie Grace. They are now back on a break, and then they are seeking God about where they should go next, how they should best serve. And so we thank God for them, because in Sundarmaya Home, it's a hostel for senior high school students who attend public school nearby, and this reduces the need for them to walk back and forth 2 hours a day from their villages.
There is a question that has come up, though.
Yes.
I thought we will we'll kind of, answer this question, and it's a good one. Timor Leste was a Portuguese colony for 600 years. Is that
Yes,
true?
that's true.
So, are we converting Catholics?
Very good question. So, to understand this question, you need to understand the nature of Catholicism in Timor Leste. While you can identify as Catholic, that might not be what they really believe, okay? So in Timor Leste, since independence, they do not have an identification system. So they don't have an NRIC. So the best way to get an identification cert is the baptismal cert of the Catholic Church. So everybody, 97%, would say that they are Catholics, because that's where you get your first identification documents, and you need the identification documents to do everything else. So what we do on the field is we ask people, what do you know about God? Who is Jesus to you? And we determine whether they have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, whether they understand the person of Jesus Christ. If they do, then we understand that, they know God. But if they don't, that's where we begin to educate. So the process of discipleship and evangelism in Timor-Leste is a process of finding out what do people actually believe. Because you can say you're Roman Catholic, I can say I'm a Hindu, right? But at the end of the day, you have to discern where they are on the journey, on the spectrum, and you have to lead them to a personal relationship with Jesus. And that's what we try to do on the field. So we don't take the statistics and we don't take it as wholesale. We have to discover. So it's a long, drawn process of going through it with everybody. But along the way, you will realize that, not everybody who says they're Catholic understands Catholicism or understands who God is. And a lot of times we find that in the Catholic Church there, Bibles are not given out. The Bibles are in the pews, and so it becomes an auditory message. So everybody understands God by hearing. What we determine to do is, in our hostels and in the schools, we give out a Bible to everybody who comes through. So they get to see the Bible, they get to read the Bible, they get to read the Bible to their families. And that's their first encounter with the Bible and the living Christ. And that's what we want to do, permeate the land with the Word of God and let the Word of God transform the people.
Thanks for that. So we don't actually have a church in Timor-Leste. The Methodist Mission Society does not have a church in Timor-Leste. One of the big pieces of work that we do, that we just celebrated, is St. Paul's School. Could you tell us a little bit more about the school?
Okay, so I think Holland Village actually has been very supportive of the work in Timor-Leste, both in Sundarmaya Home as well as St. Paul Methodist School. So St. Paul Methodist School was actually established in 2016 with just 18 students in grade 7. And today, when we celebrate the official opening of the school, because now we have a new building instead of being across 3 different rented locations. Today, we have a full 12 grade school, so that's grade 1 to grade 12, equivalent to your primary 1 to your JC2, and we have about 780 students. So it's been a tremendous journey of seeing God's faithfulness, both in the school's journey, as well as the missionaries who have been serving in the field. So Rudy mentioned David Chan. He and his family are a missionary family that went there and started the school. So that's the pioneering work that's done. So if you see the next slide, you will recognize that on our dedication service where Bishop was there to officiate the service, we acknowledge that there were so many people, different churches, cell groups, individuals who came alongside to partner with us, both financially in giving. I think Holland Village actually has contributed a lot to the work as well, individuals and the church, and in prayer and in skills and gifts as well. So there are many people who just go there and help out. And so it's an inter-Methodist work, inter-denomination work as well in St. Paul.
And I want to answer Pastor
You don't have to raise your
Jeremy's-
hands.
Yeah. After the wife keep talking.
Yeah, teacher, so I must raise hand. I want to answer Pastor Jeremy's question a bit more. Yeah, we may not have a physical church, but I want to tell you that in each of our hostels and the school, we do daily devotions.
Yes.
Daily, right? We do daily devotions, and then in Sundarmaya home on Sunday there's a service. Yeah. So actually we do community development and we intertwine daily devotions in, so everybody gets to hear the gospel, everybody gets to hear a passage from the Bible. Yeah, and if you think about it, what we are doing is we are sowing into the students every day. Yeah, and that is our discipleship. It is a long-term discipleship. It is not just once a week or once every few days. Yeah, so we are intentional to put that in, and that is our evangelism strategy. That is our discipleship of people. Yeah.
Yes, and I think as a Methodist school, those of you who have grown up in Methodist schools, the same thing happens in Timor. You have daily devotions, you have chapel, we have Boys and Girls Brigade as well. So that's part of our discipleship approach towards helping young people grow and develop in an all-rounded manner. Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's certainly more effective than the church. I mean, if you're going to do that every day, I wish we could have all of you gathered every day at 7 o'clock for devotions. I think we would be more effective as a community. So thank you so much for doing that. We do want to take some of the questions that have come up. So if you allow me, this flows quite nicely to what we want to talk about, which is the challenges you face as missionaries. Like, what is the most challenging trial that you faced as a missionary, other than the earthquake and having to text the girl you like by the side of the road? What is the most challenging trial you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, so for me, the first years in Timor Leste were difficult. In Timor Leste, understanding that it is a Roman Catholic nation, the moment we go in, they have a word for us. They call us Protestants, right? And the word Protestants indicate that we are protesting against something. Yeah, so for many of the Catholics, it was difficult for them to accept us. Yeah, in the first years in Sundarmaya home, people would throw rocks on the roof. Yeah, when you enter a new community and they don't understand you, you need to do a lot of bridge building. I must tell you this story when Reverend Wee Boon Hap came over to Timor Leste and he tried to visit just the local parish pastor. The Roman Catholic parish priest refused to receive him. Yeah, it was just a courtesy call. Then Reverend Wee said, "It's okay, I don't have to go." But he had brought along with him a Vatican document that shows that the Methodists and the Roman Catholics are very, very close, and we have much more in common, and we are brothers and sisters in Christ rather than enemies. And we are not here to steal sheep. We are here to help disciple the land. Yeah, and we are very intentional. Even though he brought the document, he wasn't able to present it. Later on, we managed to present it to the parish priest as just a document to show him that this is your Vatican document that says that we are brothers and sisters. And we acknowledge you as a brother and sister. We want to have that close communion with you. Yeah, let's extend that hand of friendship to each other. Yeah, but the initial years, and even right now, you still have to do bridge building because there will always be misunderstandings. Right. So missionaries on the ground now also go through misunderstandings. We have to take the effort to go and clarify and build relations with the community.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Another question that has come up, which I thought is quite interesting. Cheryl, you mentioned you did a PhD and was was that something that you felt you had to give up? I mean, like, because obviously you may not use your PhD fully in the field or in the role that you're in. Besides that, or other things, are there things that you had to give up to be a missionary?
I think in the first place, why I started doing my PhD, that was also because it was God-led. So I think it's like what I mentioned earlier, a series of saying small yeses along the way. So when I said yes to doing my doctorate, I felt that God had given me that opportunity so that I could expand my sphere of influence and perhaps make an impact on education beyond Singapore. So I'm an educator by profession, and I think my desire has always been to love God, serve God in whatever way I can, right? And education, a doctorate helps, I guess, open doors, especially in nations where they recognize the qualification. But I think it's more of the surrender comes on a daily basis, right? Like now, when I no longer, so I thought that when I go to Timor, it'll be, I can teach in the school or be frontline, right? You be able to educate not just the next generation, but the next generation of teachers and sow into the nation. But then now when we are here in Singapore and the work that we do, it's largely, it's different. It's not in the classroom. We do legal stuff, we do admin stuff, we do finance stuff. I do so many things that I don't know how to do. And actually I feel very helpless. I think in Singapore we're very specialized now. So if you ask me to teach and to do stuff that I know, right, I can do it. I can do it well. But if you ask me to do everything else, I don't know how to do it, and I don't know what I don't know. And it's been a journey, I think, of learning. And maybe that's what it's like to be a missionary or on the field, where you have to adapt and adjust and figure things out. And for me, I think being in control is something that I'm very used to having or being, and to release that and to say, God, I surrender, and to allow God to work in my life to make me a fuller person. So one of the best things about marrying into the Methodist Church is actually, yes, because I'm a new Methodist, right? So one of the best things that I love about the Methodist Church is the liturgy, the heritage and the history that we have. And what really spoke to my heart was the Wesleyan covenant prayer that we, do every watch night. So I prepared a slide on that because I don't know whether...
we are all very familiar with it. We memorize it as part of our...
Really? Okay, you're a hardcore Methodist. I'm a new Methodist. So I think the words really... how can we say this or how can I pray this and not mean it, right? When I say this every year and I go like, I am no longer my own, but yours. The struggle and the put me to what you will, rank me with whom you will, put me to doing, put me to suffering. Who says that? The Methodists. I think it's admirable. I've never said this before. And then let me be employed for you, okay, but laid aside for you. And COVID years really hit this home to me. I think to be exalted for God, okay, I like this, right? Be the head, not the tail. But then laid low for you, then you, but it's part of the same prayer. To be full, to be empty, to have all things, to have nothing, that I can freely and wholly yield all to God. I think that is something that is a journey of faith and surrender and obedience on a daily basis. Especially when I look at Excel sheets. I hate Excel sheets, but I look at them all the time because that's what needs to be done. If the work in Timor needs to be done, there needs to be people in Singapore who support that and who figure things out for them so that the missionaries can focus and we can do all the back-end stuff for them. Yeah, so Uncle Joe is laughing because he knows the Excel sheets, yeah. So I think that's
I think the
part
Excel
of my
sheets are a
journey.
Methodist thing, actually. It's okay, but we're kind of running out of time, so we just want to kind of wrap up this a little bit. But maybe could you share with us as a closing, what do you think is God's heart for Timor Leste, and how can we, as a church, join with you and MMS and really join with God to accomplish His work in Timor?
Okay. I think you show a slide, raising indigenous leaders. I think for us right now, in Timor Leste, the needs are vast. When I went there, it was they needed nutrition. They needed good quality food. Timor Leste is Asia's most malnourished nation. They don't just suffer from malnutrition, they suffer from stunting. Right? Stunting means that when they are, you look at their bone structure, they are smaller than all of us. Yeah, and because of that, cognitively, they are less developed. So they learn slower. However, I want to show you raising indigenous leaders, because for us as Christians, we go in and we say that they always have a hope, they always have a future. And we need to believe in them. They need somebody to believe in them. And Singapore has adopted Timor Leste. The churches in Singapore have gone in and we have begun to help. We are helping in the realm of hostels in Sunamaya Home. We are helping in the realm of school. 800 students in St. Paul Methodist School. We hope that the future leaders of Timor Leste will come through the school. And you see, when we say raise indigenous leaders, this person, Felix over there, is the work of Joseph and Grace Mana. They have sowed into him. Felix was our first batch of students in 2016. And when he went there, he was just a young JC boy, equivalent of Singapore. However, he has now gone through our system of discipleship. 3 years in Sunamaya Home, 3 years in Dunamis Home. We sent him to a Bible school, 1 year in Timor-Leste. Then he did Arrows College with Pastor Benny Ho. So now 8 years of discipleship, and he has come back full circle to Sunamaya Home, and he's now the house leader, assistant house parent, we write there, of Sunamaya Home. It's a whole cycle. But you see the cycle takes 8 years. In the school, the cycle will take 12 years, and it continues. And that is discipleship, that is evangelism, that is working through a person's life. You ask me what's the need of Timor-Leste, I'll tell you it's huge. It's huge. However, we each have a part to play. If you're an educator, please come. If you are an entrepreneur, you have a skill that you can teach, please come. If you have the ability, medical ability, you have a counseling ability, please come. We are building a human resource layer for Timor-Leste. Right now we're trying to build indigenous leaders of Timor-Leste. If you are a Bible teacher, a theologian, you are willing to invest 1 month, 1 week, 1 year, your whole life, please come. The needs are vast. I can't tell you every single need right now. If you want to talk to us outside, we are more than happy to. But the mission field is calling, and I have this sense of urgency because every day we are getting closer to the Lord's coming. And every day there are people perishing. You think of the wars, you think of the things going on around you. I don't know how much time we have. But wherever we are, whichever field you are in, I will encourage you to go and go boldly. You start in the schools. Each and every one of us, Living Waters, Aldersgate, Holland Village, we all have a school mission field. And then you have your community, Holland Village, you have a blessed community next to you, the rental flats. Holland on one side, Tanglin Hall on the other side. You have a mission field. And then you have another mission field out in Timor-Leste. Next week, you're going to hear about Japan. The need is urgent. And we all have a part to play. And I will urge you, I'm not just talking about Timor-Leste. You don't have to come to Timor-Leste. We want you to come. However, the field is wide. God's heart is wider. And I always remember the parable of the sower. God sows indiscriminately. He sows to each and every soil. He doesn't care what kind of soil it is. It's a hard soil or a good soil. He just sows it indiscriminately. And I want to urge us as Christians to take God seriously and to also follow His example, to sow indiscriminately. Don't just do the things that we are good at and specialize at, but do the things that people need. Sometimes in order to meet needs, and that's what we do in the field, we just meet the need that arises. Sometimes that means rushing somebody to the hospital because you have a car, and that's an asset, and we do it. Sometimes it means giving food to somebody, and that's what we do. You can do it here in Singapore, you can do it in Timor-Leste. Okay, so I'm not going to confine this to Timor-Leste. I'm going to say, fulfill your Christian calling. Take God seriously because God takes you seriously. And I pray that each and every one of us will be released into our full destiny, whether it is here in Holland Village, whether it is somewhere else, whether it's in your home, whether it's in a mission field like Timor Leste or Japan or wherever God has called you. Yeah. My greatest heartbeat for each and every one of us is that we be bold and we be obedient to the call of Christ in our lives.
I'm really moved by that. Would you just put your hands together and thank Rudy and Cheryl? What is our response? Can I just invite us to stand? I think God is speaking to us. We sit here comfortably, but this very hall that we sit in is a result of people who have left and gone and come to Singapore to set up schools, to set up churches, to share with us the good news of Jesus. They came to meet a need for us here in Singapore many, many years ago. And today, we are beneficiaries of that. In a few moments, we're going to sing a song to close the service, but I believe that God continues to speak to us. After the song, I want to invite us, if God is speaking to you today, now you may not know what God is calling you to do, but you know in your heart that God is speaking to you and He wants you to respond. He wants you to be obedient. He wants you to go where He calls you to go. He wants you to just do that small obedience, that first step of obedience. I want to invite you to cry out to Him, to come to the front, and let's commit ourselves to being obedient to God's call for us. Let's do that, church. Let's not play games with God, because I believe He's speaking and He's calling us today. Come, let's sing the song together, even as we prepare to respond to the Lord. After the benediction, I want to invite you to come to the front. If you feel the Lord speaking to you, I want to invite our missionaries who are here today, our staff, to just pray for us, to just allow us to confirm what God has been speaking in our hearts and to respond to His voice, to go in obedience and to walk with Christ being the center and the leader of our lives. Brothers and sisters, will you go in peace? Will you go to know that the Lord has called you? The Lord has called each and every one of you to be His witnesses to the ends of the earth. He has called you to be obedient to Him, to not worry about what you need to sacrifice, but in all that you do to walk in obedience, to walk in submission to His voice and to His leading. And so go in peace, and may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God the Father, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be and remain with you now and forevermore. Amen. Please be seated. The service is over. If you'd like someone to pray with you, please do come to the front. Don't waste this opportunity. Let's respond to God today.